Chosen one, there is a word that has been moving toward you for longer than you know. Not since this morning, not since this week. The timing of this moment, the precision with which everything in your life has been positioning you to hear exactly this today, has been in motion longer than you have been aware of it. And the Lord is not being dramatic when he says, stop everything immediately. He is being accurate, because what he has prepared for you exists in this specific window, and the window is open right now. I need you to understand the weight of what you just heard before we go any further. When heaven issues a summons of this nature, it is because the person being summoned is standing at the threshold of something that cannot be entered later in the same way it can be entered right now. The Lord does not send this level of urgency to people who are not important to what he is building. He does not interrupt lives, pull people mid-stride, and say, I need you now, unless the timing truly is everything. And right now, the timing truly is everything. You have felt this before, that sensation of something pressing on your awareness that you cannot fully name. That pull in your spirit that keeps saying, there is something you are supposed to be doing, something you are supposed to be receiving, something you are supposed to be moving toward, and yet for reasons you cannot fully explain, you have not been able to fully arrive there. That is not failure, that is not weakness, that is the call, still standing, still open, still waiting for the version of you that can answer it completely. What the Lord needs from you right now is not effort, it is not more discipline, it is not another attempt to be more spiritually consistent. What he needs is the full version of you, present, undivided, receiving at the depth you were designed to receive. And that is exactly what this message has been sent to restore, because something has been blocking that depth in you that has nothing to do with your willingness, nothing to do with your faith, and nothing to do with your character. Let me give you 5 signs that confirm what I am describing belongs to you today. The first sign is the quality of urgency you have been carrying lately that has no clear external cause, not the urgency of deadlines or unfinished tasks, something that lives underneath all of that, a holy impatience. A sense that time is not neutral right now, that there is a window that is open and will not remain open indefinitely, that something needs to happen that has not yet happened. You have been waking with a feeling that does not match anything on your schedule. You have been praying with an intensity that surprised even you. You have felt the weight of something being close without being able to identify exactly what it is. That is not anxiety. That is the pre-arrival signal. The spirit moves before the moment arrives, and your spirit has been feeling the approach. The second sign is that you have been experiencing an unusual sensitivity to things that feel spiritually significant. A phrase someone says that stops you. A scripture that steps off the page and speaks directly into something you have not told anyone about. A song, a conversation, a moment of quiet that carries far more weight than it logically should. This heightened sensitivity is not imagination. It is the receiver being prepared for something it is about to be asked to hold. When God is preparing a transmission, he activates the antenna first. The sensitivity you have been feeling is the activation, and it means the transmission is close. The third sign is a pattern of disruptions and redirections that you have not been able to explain as coincidence, not necessarily dramatic ones. Sometimes the quietest disruptions carry the most weight. Plans that fell through at the last moment. Connections that did not continue in the direction they seemed to be going. Doors that appeared to be closing only to reveal a different corridor behind them. If you look honestly at the last few months of your life, you will find a series of moves that were too precise to be random. You were not being punished. You were not being passed over. You were being placed. The Lord was making positioning adjustments that only make complete sense from where you are standing right now. The fourth sign is a deepening of your interior life in this season, specifically Whether prayer has shifted for you from asking to listening, whether the most significant moments you have had with God recently were not the moments when you said the most, but the moments when you stopped saying anything and felt what was already there. This shift does not happen by accident. It does not happen to people who are not being prepared for something specific. The Lord takes people through seasons of deepened interior listening because He is about to say something that requires exactly that depth to be received properly. The fifth sign is the one you recognized before you could explain it. Something in you already knew this message was for you before you finished hearing the title. Something older than your reasoning, something more certain than your evaluations, said yes. That recognition is not wishful thinking. It is discernment moving faster than the mind. The chosen one does not need to be persuaded that they are called. They need to be reminded that the call is active right now, that it has not transferred to someone else, and that what has been arranged is still being held for them specifically. If 3 of those signs are true for you, if even 3 of them describe what you have been living, then I need to name something directly. Because gentleness about this particular thing has not served the people who were exactly where you are. There is a name for who you are, not the general name, not the broad designation that applies to everyone who considers themselves spiritually awake. The specific name, the one that describes the particular position you hold in this season, the particular assignment that has been placed on your life that makes this urgency make sense. You are not simply someone who believes, you are someone who has been summoned. And there is a difference between a believer and a summoned one that most people in spiritual communities never clearly distinguish. A believer receives what comes to them. They hold faith and they wait, and that is honorable and real. But a summoned one has been selected for something that does not operate on the timeline of the believer. A summoned one carries a specific assignment, a specific window, a specific intersection of time and purpose that has been written around them. Moses was not simply someone who believed. He was summoned at a specific burning bush, on a specific day, for a specific mission that could only begin in that moment. Elijah was not simply someone who prayed. He was summoned to the mouth of the cave on a specific day when God was about to pass by. The summons is always tied to a moment, and the moment is always now. You have been carrying this awareness, the sense that you are not simply someone who attends to the spiritual life when it is convenient. You are someone who cannot walk away from it, even when doing so would make the rest of your life considerably simpler. You have felt the cost of being the one who was called, the loneliness that sometimes comes with it, the difficulty of explaining to people around you why you cannot simply let this go. That is not a burden you invented. That is the weight of a real assignment pressing on you from the inside. And the Lord does not leave that weight on a person without also arranging the provision that makes it possible to carry it well. What has been interrupting your ability to carry it as He designed it to be carried? What has been creating the gap between the summons and your full response is not something you did. It is something that was done to you, at a level so fundamental that you have never been able to address it through any of the spiritual practices that were designed for a different category of problem altogether. There is a gap, not a gap in your faith, not a gap in your willingness, not a gap in your love for God, or your sincerity, or your years of consistency, a gap in your capacity to fully stop when God says stop. A gap in your ability to fully receive when He speaks with this level of urgency. You know this gap intimately. You have been living with it. You have felt the pull, sensed the urgency, known that God is trying to get something vital through to you, and found yourself unable to fully land in what is being offered. The moment you try to settle into the stillness, something in your mind continues moving. Something keeps generating noise. The depth of reception that the transmission requires never quite arrives. I have a name for this. I call it the Stillness Gap, and it is not a spiritual failure. It is not insufficient devotion. It is not a sign that you are not chosen or that the promise has passed to someone else. It is evidence that something that was designed to be whole in you has been operating in a partial state. Something that every human being is given at birth. Something that children carry at full and extraordinary capacity has been gradually suppressed by a way of living that no one in the modern era was designed to sustain indefinitely. And the result is a mind that knows how to reach toward the spiritual, but has lost its ability to receive at the level where what God is transmitting actually lives. This is who you have been operating as, someone faithful and sincere and persistent, who has been receiving at a fraction of what you were built to receive, and that is not who you are required to stay. Now I want to take you to a figure whose experience describes something that I think you will recognize in your own life. A figure who was called urgently, who was faithful and genuine, who had encountered God powerfully and carried a real assignment, and who found himself in a moment where the instrument of his reception had been depleted by exactly the kind of sustained pressure that modern life places on the human mind and spirit. You know the story of Elijah, not the triumphant version, though he had that too. The version I want to name is the one that comes after the triumph, after the fire came down, after the prophets were dealt with. After the great demonstration of power, Elijah ran. He ended up under a tree, asking to die. And then he was in a cave, hiding, convinced the assignment was over, convinced he was the only one left. And God did not shout at him. God did not correct him with a sermon. God sent an angel with food and water first. He attended to the physical instrument before he said another word. He let him sleep. He let him eat. And only then did he ask the question, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And then God passed by, not in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, in the still, small voice. The most precise communication God offered to Elijah in that entire encounter required a receiver that was still enough to catch it. The message that would redirect Elijah back into his assignment, that would tell him there were 7,000 others and that his work was not finished, that message came at a frequency that a depleted and fragmented receiver could not have held. God waited. God restored. And then God spoke at the level that mattered. What is happening in your life right now has the shape of that story. The urgency God is expressing is not impatience, it is precision. He knows what is coming toward you, and he knows what the full version of your receiver is capable of holding, and he is summoning you toward the restoration that makes the receiving possible. That is what stop everything immediately means. Not that everything else must end. That this, right here, is the moment to act. I want to name the authority behind what I am about to describe. What you are about to hear comes from the intersection of two things that rarely meet in the same place. Verified scientific research at the highest institutional level and a precise understanding of how that research maps onto the spiritual reality you have been navigating your entire adult life. The doctor whose work is at the center of this spent 20 years in clinical practice in New York, working with the architecture of the human brain at the level where its function directly determines the human capacity to receive, process, and act on what they perceive. He is not a motivational speaker. He is a neurologist. And what he found was not what he was looking for when he started. He was looking for something that would help his patients recover cognitive function after illness or injury. What he ended up finding was something far more fundamental. Something that applies not to people who are broken, but to people who are whole and yet operating at a fraction of what they were built to carry. The research that forms the foundation of what he discovered won the Nobel Prize in 1981, not from a ministry or a seminary, from a research laboratory. The scientist who produced it spent his life studying what happens in the human brain when its two hemispheres operate in synchronization with each other versus when they operate in partial isolation. And what he found confirmed something that had been felt by spiritually sensitive people for centuries, without ever having been clearly explained. The mind at its full capacity is a different kind of instrument than the mind at partial capacity, not different in degree, different in kind. Here is something I want you to hold before we come to the part of this message that brings everything together. You have done everything right. You have stayed. You have returned. You have been consistent and sincere and persistent in ways that most people who started this journey with you did not sustain. And still the gap has been there. Still the full depth of reception has felt just out of reach. This is not evidence against you. This is evidence that what you are carrying requires something beyond what spiritual practice alone can provide. Because spiritual practice addresses the spirit, and what we are describing is not a spiritual problem. It is a physiological one, and it has a solution that operates at exactly the right level. The instrument I have been describing, the one that determines your capacity to stop and receive at the depth the Lord is requesting right now, is not a metaphor. It is not a spiritual concept. It is a physical structure that God designed into your brain with extraordinary precision. The human brain was designed with two hemispheres that are meant to work in continuous synchronization with each other. When they are synchronized, you have access to the full spectrum of your cognitive and perceptive capacity. You can receive at depth. You can hold complexity. You can sense what is not yet visible. You can process the spiritual alongside the practical without either one depleting the other. This is the state the research calls whole brain activation. It is the state you were born into. It is the state that 98% of young children are living in when the measurements are taken. Somewhere between early childhood and adulthood, for the vast majority of people in the modern era, that synchronization is lost, not dramatically, gradually, as a consequence of pace, of fragmentation, of the particular demands that modern life places on the brain in ways it was not designed to sustain. The result is a brain that functions on partial capacity, not broken, not diseased, partial, like a radio that receives some frequencies clearly and others only as static. The signal from the station is real. The problem is in the receiver. In 1981, something was proven in a research laboratory that most people who sit in spiritual communities have never been told about. Not because the finding was obscure. It won the Nobel Prize. Dr. Roger Sperry spent his career studying what the human brain is capable of when both hemispheres are operating in synchronization, and what is lost when that synchronization is disrupted. And the finding was this: the two hemispheres of the brain, when they are working together as they were designed to work, produce a quality of perception, cognition, and integration that is categorically different from what either hemisphere produces on its own. The synchronized state is not twice as good. It is a different kind of good, the kind that makes the foggy mind and the clear mind not 2 points on the same scale, but two entirely different instruments. Before I tell you what was built from that research, I want to tell you about two people. A woman from California described what her life was like before she found what I am about to describe. She had been sincere. She had tried every practice her community offered: prayer, journaling, meditation, and every approach her research turned up. And she kept arriving at the same experience. She believed the words. She could not feel the reality behind them, not in her body, not in the texture of her daily life. She said it was like being convinced that music was real while being unable to hear it. 10 days after she began the protocol I am about to describe, she said something cleared. A channel that had been blocked was suddenly open, The stillness she had been reaching for arrived without effort, not because she tried harder, because the receiver had been repaired. A man from Texas described something similar in a way that will resonate with those of you who carry responsibility for others. He had spent years holding things together for everyone around him, while his own interior life became thin and distant. He said prayer had started to feel like speaking into a wall. He knew the words were going somewhere. He could not feel them landing. 2 weeks after he began, he woke up and described his mind as running on all of what it was supposed to run on. The fog that had been so consistent he had stopped registering it as fog was gone. His wife noticed before he said anything. That is how complete the change was. That is because of what the team Dr. Daniel Barone leads spent years building. A team of neuroscientists led by Dr. Barone in New York took over an hour of clinical neural synchronization technology, the kind of whole brain activation protocol used in specialized medical settings at significant cost, and through an intensive compression and refinement process, they turned it into an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. 8 minutes a day, headphones, eyes closed. That is the entirety of the physical requirement. They call it the genius switch. It is not a brainwave product. It is not a meditation app. It is not a sound frequency designed to put you in a mood. It is a targeted auditory sequence specifically engineered based on the Nobel Prize research of Dr. Roger Sperry to reconnect the two hemispheres and restore the whole brain activation that was the default state in childhood. The state in which the stillness gap does not exist. The state in which the Lord says stop everything and the receiver is capable of holding what he needs to release. The genius switch is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who understands that God prepared not only the promise but the mind that must walk into it. The person who has been sincere for years, who has done the work, who has felt the call clearly and kept returning to it even when the evidence was not cooperating. And who is willing to stop treating the fog as a character flaw and start treating it as something that has a specific address and a specific solution? The genius switch is not a replacement for your prayer, your study, or your sacred sitting. It is the restoration of the receiver those practices were always designed for. 8 minutes in the morning restores the state. Everything after that runs deeper. Most people who hear about this will scroll past. They have accepted the reduced version of their mind as permanent. They have made peace with partial reception. You are still here. That is not coincidence. That is the specific kind of persistence that belongs to the person this was built for. Colleagues of Dr. Barone suggested this technology would represent incredible value even at $500. Specialized neurofeedback sessions in clinical settings run $300 per hour. Home neurofeedback equipment starts at $7,000. The Genius Switch was released at $49. On this page today, there is an additional $10 off, $39. And it comes with 4 free bonuses. A guided visualization from one of the top creators on the Calm app. A grocery guide identifying the 10 most common foods in American stores that create brain fog, with alternatives that save over $100 a month. A classic manifestation text over 100 years old that forms the root of every modern approach to attracting what you desire. And a 5-habit infographic designed for print. All of this backed by an unconditional money-back guarantee. Listen once, listen 80 times. If what has been described in this message does not become your experience, every dollar is returned. No condition. Every morning the receiver is not restored is another morning. The word lands at the surface instead of the center. That is not a metaphor. That is the day you are losing. Every day the synchronization stays disrupted is another day the full reception of what God has arranged moves through a receiver operating below its designed capacity. Not because the offer is withdrawn, because the depth of reception determines the depth of the arrival. One thing worth naming directly. If you search for anything that sounds like this on other platforms, you will find tracks. Dr. Barone and his team studied them. Most carried no neural sync technology at all. They carried the label because the barrier to labeling something that way is essentially zero. The mechanism is what makes the difference, and the mechanism only exists in what his team built. The link in the description below and in the pinned comment points to the only verified source. If your spirit resonates with what has been described, the link in the description below and in the pinned comment is where Dr. Barone and his team made it available. You can read everything before making any decision. Every detail is laid out clearly. The genius switch works beneath your awareness. You do not need to meditate while it plays. You do not need to maintain focus. You do not need to believe it is working in order for it to work. The auditory sequence does what it was engineered to do regardless of your mental state during the 8 minutes. People have reported results within the first 2 to 3 days, though the full effect deepens with consistency. And because it is delivered digitally, there is no shipping, no waiting, no equipment to set up. The moment the transaction is complete, it is in your inbox. What is happening in your life right now has the shape of everything we have been describing. The Lord has been moving toward this moment with you. The urgency He is expressing is not impatience, it is precision. He knows what is coming toward you, and He knows what the full version of your receiver is capable of holding. And He is summoning you toward the restoration that makes the receiving possible. That is what stop everything immediately means. Not that everything else must end. That this, right here, is the moment to act. If you are honest with yourself right now, something has been confirmed in this message that you already knew at a level that goes deeper than your reasoning. Not every detail, the deepest thing. The thing that said yes before the rest of you had time to evaluate. If the genius switch is what you are meant to take action on today, the link is in the description below and in the pinned comment. Go there before you close this message. Let the moment of clarity carry you to the action that clarity is pointing toward. You have been in a season of preparation. I know that because of the way this message found you. Seasons of preparation have a quality that is different from any other season. They are simultaneously full and empty. Full of what is being formed in you, empty of the external evidence that what is being formed is real and significant. And in that emptiness, the temptation is to conclude that nothing is happening, that the preparation has been for nothing, that the window has passed. It has not passed. The preparation season you have been in has been doing exactly what preparation seasons are designed to do. It has been forming in you the character, the depth, the capacity to hold what is coming that would not have been possible if the breakthrough had arrived sooner. You were not ready then. The formation was not complete. You are closer than you know. The indicators I named at the beginning of this message, the urgency, the sensitivity, the pattern of redirections, the deepening of interior listening, these do not appear in the lives of people who are far from breakthrough. They appear in the lives of people who are at the edge of it. The question that remains is not whether the breakthrough is coming. It is whether the receiver will be ready when it arrives. Whether the instrument that God designed for you will be operating at the capacity that allows the full weight of what He has arranged to land without loss. Whether the version of you that has been summoned will show up in the fullness of what that summons requires. The Lord needs you now, not the diminished version of you that has been surviving on partial reception, the full version of you, the version with the receiver online, the version that can hear the still, small voice at the frequency it is actually traveling. Stop everything. He is here, and what He has to say is worth every moment of this. Chosen one, if this message reached you today, it was not by chance. And if what was described about the mind, about the stillness, about what has been preventing the full reception of what God has been transmitting, if that landed in you as true, leave a comment below with the word "stopped," so I know this found you. If you are someone who has been carrying this in isolation, someone who has felt the weight of the calling without the company of others who understand it, share this with one person who needs to hear that the distance they have been feeling from their own depth has an address and a solution. Like this message if it reached the place it was sent for, and come back to this channel because more is coming. More that belongs to where you are going, to who you are becoming, to the season that is opening in front of you right now. Now I want to take you somewhere before we close this message. Find a posture in which you can be still. Let your hands rest somewhere they do not need to hold anything. Now, I want you to notice the quality of the space inside you right now. Not what it should be, what it actually is. There may be noise. There may be a certain heaviness that has been there so long, you have started to call it normal. Just notice it, without judgment, without urgency. Simply see it clearly. Now I want you to imagine what it would feel like if that interior space had more room in it, not a completely different space. The same space, with a quality of clarity and openness it does not currently carry. Imagine the fog lifting not dramatically but simply, the way a morning haze lifts when the sun has been up long enough. And in that clearer space, imagine the voice that has been trying to reach you finding its way through without static, not louder, clearer, as though the channel it was traveling through was finally unobstructed. This is not a fantasy you are imagining. This is a description of a physiological state that exists as the designed condition of the brain God gave you. The state the researchers call whole brain activation is not an unusual achievement. It is the default. It is what was present before the modern world gradually suppressed it. And what you are imagining right now is closer to available than you have been led to believe. He has not been urgently summoning you because you have fallen short. He has been urgently summoning you because what he has placed near you is closer than you know. Because the receiver he built for you, when it is operating at the capacity he designed, will recognize and receive what partial reception has been passing by undetected. He is not summoning you to a beginning. He is summoning you to a recognition, to the moment when you finally see, clearly and fully, what has been arranged with your name on it. The assignment you carry has not been reassigned. The calling you received has not been rescinded. The thing that has been pressing on your spirit is not going to stop pressing until the version of you that was called to carry it shows up to receive it. And that version is not far away. It is the version that emerges when the instrument God designed is restored to the condition he designed it for. God prepared the promise, and he prepared the mind that must walk into it. Both are real. Both have been waiting. You are standing at the place where they meet.